Have you ever wanted to go on a heartfelt journey in the lives of your loved ones and newfound acquaintances? Do you enjoy listening and engaging in uplifting discussions that leave you motivated and inspired to take action in your own life? This podcast is a space where we have in-depth conversations on family, health, spirituality, entrepreneurship, and well, just plain old life. I'm Jesse De Leon, and this is my passion. Join me on a walk into the fascinating narratives and meaningful conversations that shape our experiences. Welcome to The Knowing, a Life and Stories podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so happy for my next guest to be here with me. She is an expert in functional medicine. She is also a registered dietitian, and she is a published author to a book titled Root Cause, Turning Systems into Solutions. She's also a friend of mine. Welcome to the podcast, Christie Brooks.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, Christie. I'm so excited that this is finally happening and everything in God's time. And this is the time. So again, thank you. I want to just dive right into it, Christie. Can you give our listeners a very clear and concise definition of what is functional medicine?
Yes, I can. The actual medical terminology for it, definition for it, is a systems biology-based approach that focuses on identifying and addressing the root cause of disease. So a lot falls underneath that category.
Okay. So my understanding, I know you have studied, you have functional medicine for some time. You've been practicing functional medicine. You're very passionate about functional medicine. For me, I became aware of functional medicine, the practice of functional medicine, what functional medicine is about 3 or 4 years ago, around the time that we were all befallen with the pandemic. So what I understand of functional medicine is the big portion is the study of the gut called the mitochondria.
Yeah.
Right. The scientific term. Microbiome.
Yes.
And so thank you. And so what fascinates me is, for me, I feel the study of functional medicine, the practice of functional medicine is learning how to heal the body through nutrition, healthy foods, exercise, and where it's a little bit different from conventional medicine, though conventional medicine is very important, and both together can serve as a great solution for things that are happening in our body and with our health, that they can work together to find a solution, right? Is that correct?
Very much so. We call it lifestyle medicine.
Tell me what the lifestyle, what does that mean?
Lifestyle medicine. Oh,
lifestyle medicine. Yeah, I like that. And Christie, you know what fascinated me about functional medicine is how simple it seems if we just learn how to refocus our mind, reset our mind, and understanding the importance of how exercise plays into our health, and also how the foods that we eat, how they affect our body, our mind and our body, right?
Correct. It's also the stress reduction and the quality of sleep.
So tell us about that, about this, how the stress and how it affects the quality of sleep as well.
Well, when you're from a functional medicine perspective, we look at the mind, body, spirit connection, not just body. So when we've gone through anything stressful, like for instance, the pandemic, or if you've been through anything very traumatic in your life, and this can even stem back to childhood, the mind affects the body. So it tends to keep the score. So if you've been through any form of trauma, it keeps a score and affects that nervous system. And eventually it's going to rise up and start showing signs and symptoms of things going in disarray and out of balance within the body. So that the nervous system plays such a huge role in that. So how we address the stress or any type of stored trauma is crucial when it comes to our health. That those two can completely throw our hormones out of balance
Now,
and
Christie,
affects your
go
gut.
ahead. No,
No,
great. And it does what, Christie?
it also affects your gut health.
And Christie, when you say stored trauma, I find that very fascinating because in all the study and in researching, I understand that stored trauma it literally is embedded in your tissues,
Yes.
in the fiber of your tissue, the being of your tissue. And so uh, how do we address that part? How does medicine address that? Functional medicine address that part?
That's when we pull in resources such as mental health therapists that are trained in things such as EMDR, brain spotting, somatic therapy. That is not my area of specialty. What we're trained in is picking up on that, noticing that, and then pulling in our resources for help in that area. So, because we can't heal the body when the mind is constantly the trump card, so to speak, is constantly throwing off what we're trying to do in healing that body.
So Christie, in functional medicine, I was reading about, is it SIBO?
SIBO is one of, it's definitely a diagnosis that's not, it's well known in the functional medicine world.
And what's the other ones? There's SIBO, and then there's we were talking about that.
SIBO, there's H. pylori, which is also recognized in conventional medicine. But we also look at IBS, celiac.
Okay, right.
It's all. But SIBO is the main one.
Okay. And Christie, my experience with any of that was when I was diagnosed with H. pylori. I never had a gut issue. I've always had that stomach of steel, so to speak. Yes. Nothing upset it. And I just started to feel these symptoms that were unfamiliar to me. And they were like drowsiness. I would get waves of nausea. I was very sleepy at times. My stomach was unsettled. I had bloatedness, which I never had before. And I just felt lethargic. And it wasn't until it was time for me to have, my colonoscopy done at age 50, which I put it off until age 52. And by the way, everyone, it's not as bad as it seems. So go get your colonoscopy, because it's really important. I put it off for 2 years, Christie, because I was just like not doing it. I was not going to drink that yucky stuff. But it wasn't yucky. It was actually so easy. And it was in that colonoscopy that the doctor noticed that there was some irritation in the lining of my stomach. And then he did more tests, and it came back positive for H. pylori. And luckily for me, the one dose of the one treatment through antibiotics, which is what really helped me to overcome that, and it didn't come back. And that's a great example of like how functional medicine and conventional medicine can come together and work for us, right?
Yes. And when someone goes on a antibiotic, which those play a very crucial role in killing off the bad, but they also kill off the good. So in functional medicine, we come back in and we do the cleanup work, so to speak. So
tell us about that, Christie.
Okay. So again, we're not the quickest to jump into taking a probiotic if we can try to kill it off as naturally as possible. But there is definitely times such as yours that you need something like that. But a probiotic comes in and helps in replenishing the good bacteria within your microbiome. You need that in order for your gut microbiome to be very healthy, to absorb, to secrete the digestive enzymes, everything to work properly. So that plays a huge, huge role when it comes to taking any type of medicine, because in medicine, they always have some side effects. So it's important that you address those side effects and try to get off that medicine as quickly as possible.
I've heard I have a lot of friends in the medical industry and the medical field, and they all, the ones that understand some of what functional medicine is, and even if they don't really understand the study and practice of functional medicine, I oftentimes hear them say, we could avoid high blood pressure, high cholesterol, strokes, heart disease, sugar diabetes, if we just learned how to eat better foods, healthier foods, healthier oils, and then factor in, exercise, right?
Correct. Stress reduction is also big, and referring to the nervous system and the microbiome. One thing that does come to mind is that I've got a lot of clients that come in on what's called a PPI, a proton pump inhibitor for reflux. And typically the causes of reflux is not because the GI tract or the stomach is producing excessive amounts of acid. Typically the issue is they're fast eaters. They're not chewing their food up really well. It creates a strain and stress on the stomach. It's secreting excessive amounts, just trying to break down that food that the teeth did not do. Another issue is that we tend to be stressed. So when we're stressed, our body needs more magnesium to calm down that nervous system. And when you don't have enough magnesium coming in your food system, which right now, we don't have that much in our soil. It's slowly eroding away in the last 50 to 60 years. So if we're living a high stress life and we don't consume enough magnesium, then we're going to have to take more magnesium, because a lack of magnesium can also cause issues with reflux. So a proton pump inhibitor puts the Band-Aid on it. And if you stay on that proton pump inhibitor years down the road, that will lead to irritable bowel issues.
And Christie, that is a problem where I hear so many people today who have irritable bowel movement, and you've heard that for many years, leaky gut syndrome,
yes,
right? And to your point about acid reflux, I hear so many people struggling with, oh, I can't eat that because it's going to give me acid reflux. I can't touch that because I like it, but it's going to cause acid reflux. And then they're getting on medications to help them with that. But like you said, it's not treating it; it's suppressing it, causing other challenges. So this is what I want this episode to sort of address it. In this moment is, the pointing out of, as you pointed out, how important it is to chew your food properly, and how the digestion begins in the mouth. And I remember as a kid, I don't know if it was 32 times or 33 times, but they would say, chew your food 32 times before you swallow it, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're eating fast, it's all here, and that's when the acid's building up and causing the reflux, right?
Correct. We induce our own reflux many times. And the answer is not always a proton pump inhibitor. We just need to slow down.
Wow.
Slow down and take a little bit of de-stressing, even if it requires you to take a little bit of magnesium glycinate or magnesium malate. That just calms the nervous system down.
I want to talk about that a little bit, because you mentioned that today the richness of the soil is no longer there, and the minerals that used to be in our soil. Often, my father was a farmer, that was a part-time, like a side hustle for him. But he quickly learned that when you plant on a plot of soil for a certain, more than 2 or 3 years, you have to move the farming to another plot of soil, so that it gives time for nutrients and minerals to come back into the earth. Sometimes you have to reinstate it manually to help that along, right?
You do. There's different types of rotations that you can do. Even burning also tends to help.
Yeah. Well, I know that supplements, like you mentioned, magnesium. I know that you helped me to start in taking magnesium, and I will say this, that it has definitely helped me to rest better at night, to sleep better, and after, right, and I never got more than 3 to 4 hours of sleep my whole life per night.
And that is not good.
Isn't that terrible?
7 to 9. Research shows that men need at least 7 and women need at least 8 now.
Wow.
Yes, there's so much resetting. Yeah. There's resetting that takes place in the middle of the night. Your brain is basically getting rid of toxins. So you've got to do that. You've got to allow the body to reset, renourish, let the synovial fluids rejuvenate. I mean, there's so much that takes place in the middle of the sleep. So it's important you get your sleep. The ones who don't get their sleep, they're bringing on metabolic issues, metabolic syndrome, diabetes, heart disease so much quicker. They wake up in a state of stress already. So their cortisol levels are jacked up already, even when they wake up. And cortisol is that stress hormone that also gives us energy. But when you have excessive amounts of it, you're going to start to actually gain weight. And the first place it likes to go to is the lower belly. So sleep plays a huge, huge role in so many ways.
Well, Christie, you know what? I after our talks as well, and some studies that I've done, research that I've done, I'm now learning to eat way earlier. I used to think that was what old people did. And I'm like, I am not going to be one of those old people eating at 6 o'clock, 5:30, 7 o'clock. No, I'm not doing that. I would be like the Europeans. We're going to eat at 9 o'clock. We're going to, stay up late. And I would be wide awake and unable to sleep because I felt this heaviness in here in my the part of my body at my chest. And so now chewing my food more,
yes,
eating earlier, I start getting sleepy. I never fell asleep on the couch before. And at like 9:30. And Christie, it really makes a difference with supplements, with slowing down my eating, learning how to, sleep, go to bed a little bit earlier, and learning meditation, the practice of meditation to bring this right.
Definitely. And you've got to watch the caffeine too. Okay, if you have any gene SNPs, a gene SNP could be where you are a slower metabolizer of caffeine and you're drinking caffeine at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to give you energy, which, by the way, if you are fatigued between 2 and 4 p.m., you're probably dehydrated, and caffeine is going to make you more dehydrated. And then you have the gene SNP of being a slow metabolizer and you're drinking this caffeine at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You're not going to have an easy time falling asleep at nighttime. And you should be falling asleep within 15 minutes. So I tell all my clients, cut your caffeine off by 10, limit how much you have, because you don't want to overwork your adrenals that secrete your stress hormone, because excessive amounts of caffeine will make that cortisol level go up. Okay. So cut it off by 10. And if you don't want to get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, cut your water intake off by around 7 o'clock. If you need a sip or two before bed, that's fine. Just don't be guzzling a ton of your water right before you go to bed.
Christie, how important is the mindset? You mentioned getting up and going to the bathroom in the morning. I will tell you that, in the middle of the night, I used to always do that. And then I was listening to, I believe it was Dr. Peter Attia, or Mark Hyman, by the way. By the way, guys listening, check out their podcast. Yes. I'm going to give them a little plug. Right, yes. Christie?
Very, very good information.
Yes. And they mentioned that how much the mind, what would you call it? How the mind affects the nervous system.
Yes.
And it you can train yourself to not go to the bathroom even when you think you have to at 2 or 3 in the morning, and just go back to sleep. And I will tell you this: no longer am I waking up like an old man going to the bathroom. I'm just saying, nope. I tell my mind, nope, I don't have to go. I'm going to wait. And then I go back to sleep.
Did you know getting up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom after you cut your water off by 7, but you continually get up in the middle of the night, even after you've tried to tell yourself, I'm not doing it, that is actually one of the signs of diabetes coming on. And you start to develop symptoms and signs 7 to 11 years before you're fully diagnosed with diabetes. So that's one of the things I'm usually tuning in with. Are you getting up in the middle of the night? Because let's prevent you from going down the road of diabetes. So that's another thing that we also dive into is prevention. We got to prevent.
It's all about prevention, right?
Yes.
So that could be a sign for people who are finding themselves getting up to use the bathroom as maybe an onset to sugar diabetes.
Yes, definitely.
And what should they do? What should they do if the listeners say, "Oh, that's me"? What would you say to them right now?
Well, first off, try to cut your water off by 7. If you're continuing to get up, even after you're, doing the brain training like what you did, if you're still getting up in the middle of the night, definitely go get your hemoglobin A1C and your fasting insulin ran. That's important. If you are not catching it in the beginning, that you're going to miss out and it's going to be too late. So in functional medicine, our cutoff is a 5.5. Conventional medicine, they wait till it's a 6 before you're actually diagnosed with diabetes. we look at a 5.5 of hemoglobin A1C as you have diabetes. So we have a little bit tighter ranges because we come from the prevention end, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So you want to definitely get control of that before it gets control of you. And most people will have very, very high risk of diabetes and heart disease in America.
Wow. I know that's the leading killer now is it was heart disease, sugar diabetes, high cholesterol, right? Well,
Yes.
now it's everything that has to do with the gut.
It does. Now, let me throw this at you too.
Please.
This also plays a role. So if you are a mouth breather at night, you are actually at a higher risk for metabolic syndrome, diabetes, and heart disease. If you're a nose breather, you have the benefits of nitric oxide and you will wake up more refreshed in the morning. So mouth tape tends to help people retrain to breathe through their nose. If it's a structural issue, I definitely would look into a biological dentist that can help broaden that out, or even, possibly using a little bit of peppermint oil or coconut oil right up inside the nose before you go to bed to help open up your sinuses a little bit more. But that definitely needs to be addressed. People who are mouth breathers tend to go on a CPAP machine earlier in life and develop obesity earlier in life.
So that's so interesting, Christie. So there's mouth tape that you literally tape your mouth closed?
Sure is. You can get it off Amazon. Looks like a little X. Yep, goes right on your mouth.
And it's not uncomfortable. It doesn't cause any other problems. It's just to treat you to breathe from the nose.
You got it.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Is it better to sleep on your back or your side?
There's a lot of data out there to know which one the research says is the actual the fact. It's very difficult to say. I do know sleeping on the side and on your back is way better than sleeping on your stomach, though.
Okay, well, I will tell you this. I used to sleep on my side, but I trained myself to sleep on my back because I don't want my face skin to get stretched. And I'll do it for vanity purposes. I don't want wrinkles on my face.
I hear you.
Christie, I want to talk briefly about what helped you to become passionate in your own experience, in your own health, in your own life with functional medicine. I think this is important because as we were talking early on about this episode, and we both, again, when I first met you, I just want to go back to when I first met you, and we were all, to everyone listening, we were all sitting at a dinner that Christie was invited to come along. I did not know Christie. She was sitting about a person away from me, and I just felt her good energy. And I'm just like, wow, she just seems so kind and so sweet. I just wanted to talk to her more. I just want to get to talk to her. And then when I asked Christie what she did, she said she was a functional medicine practitioner. And I said, oh my God, I literally dropped my fork and my knife and just took over the whole table conversation to make them listen because it's so important. And that was a kindred spirit was born. Right, Christie?
Yes, definitely. Immediate bond.
Immediate bond. So, Christie, I want you to, if you will, take a few minutes to share your experience with your own health that led you to needing to find another way.
Okay. Well, about 11 years ago, I was going through a lot of fatigue. I'm a type A person, on the go, you name it, 2 kids that did travel ball all over, not just Arkansas, but several states around us. We were traveling all over the country. I got to the point where I couldn't get out of bed. I was told that by my doctor, your labs look good and you just need on an antidepressant. And my thing was, I was not depressed. It irritated me because I wasn't being heard. So I ended up finding actual health and healing through functional medicine. It got me back on my feet. I had some adrenal dysfunction going on, extreme amounts of stress. And that led me into healing phase, and which also led me into understanding what EMDR, brain spotting, somatic therapy is when it comes to mental health therapy and stored trauma. So the Lord was kind of opening up doors for me for healing in all areas of mind, body, spirit. And once I went through this extreme long period, it was over a year of healing, I promised him that I would do everything in my power to help his children the way he helped me, just putting things in my path. And I applied to the Institute of Functional Medicine and got in. There's only 4% of dietitians at that time that was getting in. We're all in the medical field. You have to be in the medical field to get into it. And every single one of us in functional medicine has their own story that led them into functional medicine. So I'm sitting at, these conferences with DOs, MDs, nurse practitioners, chiropractors, naturopathic doctors. We're all led because we all have our own story that got us there. So, and we want to pass that on to other people. So that's really how I got into functional medicine, was my own trials, my own issues with adrenal dysfunction, and how I healed. And basically, I'm just living out what my promise is. And it's really my passion. I mean, I want to help people. That's my thing. If you want to live on a cholesterol medicine your whole life, then that's your priority. I mean, that's totally okay. But if you want to heal and get off of that, or even heal from depression, I am here for you. I can help you along the way. So I do guidelines. I'm your cheerleader. We'll go through a very individualized protocol. It's not a one size fits all for anyone.
Well, I love knowing that, Christie, and thank you for sharing that. It's unsettling when all your blood work comes back all good, the numbers are good, and yet your caring physician is telling you there's nothing physically wrong with you, and then there's then a quick leap to it's a mental, emotional wellness issue, and where that may be the case for some people, it's not for most people, I would say, right?
Correct.
And so that is frustrating. So I believe that what we want to say today is, let's incorporate both conventional medicine with functional medicine, right? And
we're melded together. There really is no separation. We just take it to a different level. So if you want to go on that conventional medicine, medication, that is fine. Now let's take it to a level where you can heal and get off of it.
That's right. That's right. Well, Christie, in my own experience, like you said, everybody has their own experience. When I was diagnosed with H. pylori, I was terrified to take 150 antibiotic pills. And I had to do 150 in a week and 2 week span. I was terrified. So in doing that, I made sure I got on probiotics. I started eating foods that were rich in probiotics, like what is the stuff you put on hot dogs? Sauerkraut.
Yes.
And I just happen to love sauerkraut. So there are definitely medicinal factors, elements in natural foods and in natural whole foods, right? And so I'm so excited about the practice of functional medicine. So many people don't know. When I mention who they're like, who's going to be the next person on your podcast? And I said, oh my God, Christie Brooks, all about functional medicine. What's functional medicine? And like I told you before, bright, big readers, intelligent people that really have never really heard about functional medicine. And that is what that is why your passion in the studies and the practice of functional medicine has led you to where you are now.
Yes.
Has led you to be on this podcast. Thank you so much. And also, your passion to serve God in really just in respect and gratitude to honor Him with, you were helped with, your illnesses that you had, that you were challenged with, and now you want to help others. And that is my goal too. The reason for the podcast is because I'm passionate about sharing information, and information that God's inspired me to share, because I wouldn't be doing it if it were not for God's work in this. So, right.
Definitely.
Yeah. And so I just feel, and you feel, that the more aware we are of our bodies and our mind, that we can heal in conjunction with conventional medicine. Christie, I want to thank you for being on the show. I'm going to invite you back to where we speak specifically on certain on challenges that we're faced with our bodies.
I'd love it.
To everyone listening, once again, Christie Brooks is an expert in functional medicine, the practice of functional medicine. She is a registered dietitian. She is also available to anyone who needs her help. There will be ways to contact her in the show notes. And Christie's ready to help you, right, Christie?
You are ready. Yes, I'm ready. Ready to help you. Mind, body, spirit healing for sure.
I love that, Christie. Mind, body, spirit healing. Remember that, guys. It's not just one or the other. It's all of it. Yes. And Christie, if you were here right now, you know me, I'd give you a big hug. So I'm sending a big hug to you. And I just thank you so, so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I enjoy talking to you and love your podcast. Love every bit of it.
Thank you.
Love functional medicine as well.
Thank you for supporting it. And guys, one thing about the podcast is I would love to ask for your prayers. You know, sometimes it's when you're doing what you're passionate about doing, sometimes you just need that extra love and support and prayer. So I'm just going to ask you all to pray for me. I'm praying for y'all. And until next time, we'll see you soon.